In this video, I am going to cover about long run production function. My previous video talks on short run production function, in which I have covered law of variable proportions. In the long run, we have isoconts. Isoconts are similar to indifference curves in consumer Isocont behavior. Is a curve in production all possible input combinations which keeps the producer at the same level of output. So you will have combination A, combination B, combination C of, let us say, labor and capital, with which the producer will be producing same level of output. Isoconts, as like indifference curves, they are downward sloping. If we use more of labor, less of capital is required, and vice versa, a given level of output. Now we have isocont schedule. We have combinations A, B, C, D and E. For A, we use 10 units of capital and 20 units of labor and produce 100 units of output. For combination B, we use 11 units of capital. So what we have done is we have added one more unit of capital and reduced labor by 7 units, 13 units of labor. Production is same 100 units. We add one more unit of capital. We can reduce labor to 9. So how many labor we have reduced from 13 to 9? So 4 labor units are reduced. Production remains at the same level. So here the reduction in labor was 7 units. From combination B to C, it is 4 units. From C to D, it is 3 units. And from D to E, it is only 1 unit. Now, as we have diminishing marginal rate of substitution, in isoconts, we have marginal rate of technical substitution. So this marginal rate of technical substitution is the amount of labor we are substituting for getting an additional unit of capital. Now this goes on diminishing as we go on adding more and more of capital. The number of laborers we have to sacrifice, or laborers which we can reduce, are getting less and less. So we have the IQ is the isocont. It shows all possible combinations of two factors, labor and capital, by which the producer remains at the same level of output. So we have 4 combinations A, B, C and D. Now for the combination A, L1 units of labor and K1 units of capital. Now in order to get one more unit of capital, K2, the producer has to sacrifice labor L2. He is at L2 and he is sacrificing labor L1 to L2. Now this gap on the y-axis goes on diminishing as more and more capital is used. So diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Then we have isocont map, as we have indifference map in the same way. A higher isocont represents higher level of production. Isocont map is nothing but a set of isoconts. Higher isocont represents higher level of production, and every producer will like to go on a higher isocont because every producer wants to produce more with the given level of inputs. Marginal rate of technical substitution, I already explained. It is the slope of an isocont and measures the rate at which two inputs can be substituted for one another along an isocont while maintaining constant level of output. So it is minus delta K upon delta L. Now why do we add minus sign? So that the negative sign in the coefficient gets cancelled out and we get the positive slope of the isocont, because one factor we are declining, another factor we are increasing. So coefficient will be negative. Since if we have the minus sign here, The minus minus will get cancelled out and the coefficient will be positive. K is the amount of capital. So C is WL plus RK. Now drawing it on the graph, we get the isocost line or the isocost curve. If the producer's expenditure or the budget increases, isocost occurs. Now going to the producer's equilibrium, what we do is we have the isocont map and we superimpose isocost curve on the isocont map. There are 3 points R, S and E over here which are within the budget of the producer. But point E is the equilibrium point of the producer, or it is the producer's equilibrium because it is on the highest isocont. Every producer wants to go to higher and higher isocont with the same level of cost. He will like to produce maximum output. So at R also the cost is same, at S also the cost is same, but here the production is maximum. At R production is only 500, but at S production is 1000, at E production is 1700. Then we have about expansion path. Expansion path gives the efficient least cost input combination for every level of output. So we have the consumer's equilibrium, A when the budget is KL, B when budget is K prime L prime, and C when budget is K double prime L double prime. We join all the equilibrium points and we get the expansion path. This shows how the producer moves as he goes on expanding both capital and labor. Now coming to scale of production. When producer increases inputs from 100 to 200, both labor and capital, production increases from 20 to 60. In this case, inputs are doubled, but output is more than doubled. It has almost become tripled. Now, why this happens? This happens because initially, producer will have economies of scale. Economies of scale are the benefits that the producer enjoys when he is expanding his business. Why does he get economies of scale? Because he can buy in bulk. He can bargain with the suppliers. He can easily get labor since the firm is well known, very big firm. Workers will be ready to work in his industry. So, and he also gets marketing economies. He can do wide marketing publicity for his goods. He can employ experts, so he can get the benefits of division of labor and specialization. He can employ automated techniques, so he gets technical economies and so on. So with all this, his output will increase more than proportionately. This is nothing but increasing returns to scale. Now after some time, what happens is diseconomies will start coming in. Diseconomies are the disadvantages when the firm expands fast. So when firm is expanding at a fast rate, it gets certain disadvantages. These disadvantages are diseconomies of scale. Now for certain period, what happens is economies and diseconomies cancel out each other, and what we get is constant returns to scale. So here inputs are increased by 100%, output also increases by 100%. So from 20, output is increasing to 40. So rate of input and rate of increasing output are same. And the last stage is the decreasing returns to scale. Here when we increase input by 100%, output does not increase by 100%. IQ 20 over here, IQ is 30. So output is increasing only by 50%. So diseconomies overweigh the economies. That is, diseconomies are more, economies are less, and therefore we get decreasing returns to scale. Now, when the firm expands too much, there will be problems, managerial problems, labor problems, there will be financial mismanagement, and so on. So, diseconomies are more, economies are less, and what we get is the decreasing returns to scale.